Welcome back to another of our live book readings. Today, we are celebrating the release of Pressing Luck. It is St. Patrick's Day, and we've got a St. Patrick's Day retelling for you. I am so excited for this. This is part of the Holiday Court series where we're actually seeing what happens when Father Time tries to destroy the future, and unfortunately, his daughter and the other daughters of the court leaders are going to try to stop them. So a catastrophic event happens. All 6 of the girls rush toward the center where they are then going to be trying to stop Father Time, and they all have to make their own part of the plan work to stop him. So you get a different perspective in each one of these stories, but it's all the same story. It's not spoilery because you get the same thing, but different things in each one of them. They can be read in any order or as standalones. And today we're going to be reading about Ciara and Cillian. So real quick, let me tell you just a little bit about this. Can a leprechaun's adopted daughter and a shoemaker's son distract the Elven army? Ciara has always been uncertain about her place in life, but when she and her boyfriend Cillian witness the rebels in the Holiday Court halls, she's certain she's going to have to take some of her boyfriend's bravery to help save the others during the attack as she steps into her new role with the group. No longer an outsider, Ciara is privy to dangerous new information about darkness enlisting Father Time to help prevent the new year from happening, and the rebels she helped capture could be the key. They must work with the daughters of the court leaders to save the partygoers, free the leaders, and stop Father Time from destroying time. And again, this is a 6-book short story series that features a new holiday in each one of these installments and a powerful leading lady with her stunningly swoony man in an epic universal party that can't possibly end at midnight. So if you're joining me, we're going to be reading the first chapter of Pressing Luck today. Go ahead and let me know in the comments who you are and where you're joining me from. And if you've read the other Holiday Court story series, books in the series, I would love to hear from you. I'm very excited because today is St. Patrick's Day. We are wearing green. We're doing the green thing today. I am Irish, so yes, please. And we've got all the cool stuff going on for Pressing Luck today. So go ahead, jump in my comments and let me know that you are excited. I'm going to be wearing my blue light blocking glasses today just so I don't burn my eyes out while I read the first chapter of this. I have not read this out loud yet, and I have not read this since I wrote it. So we're going to jump in and we're going to see what happens today. Happy St. Patty's Day. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Here we go. Let's see how this goes. Let's see what we can do today. Chapter 1. Just my luck that I would date a shoemaker's son, Ciara muttered under her breath as people eyed her, admiring her wardrobe for the evening. Cillian smirked, looking his girlfriend up and down. He wrapped an arm around her and leaned in to speak quietly, brushing her hair with his lips. Ah, so the truth comes out. You're only in it for the fancy shoes to wear to the balls. This is a gala, not a ball. She glanced up at him. And I'm perfectly fine wearing basic shoes from the shops. Cillian ran his tongue over his teeth playfully before speaking. But then you wouldn't be the talk of the parties if you didn't walk in with the fancy shoes Father makes for you, and his business would be cut in half if you didn't make the entire kingdom so jealous. Ciara knew she was helping Cillian's family by wearing his father's most outrageous shoe designs. Even the Holiday Court royalty sought him out to design their footwear, but she always felt awkward being stared at. I'd prefer not to be noticed, she replied. It was overwhelming enough in their own kingdom, but now the entire Holiday Court was watching. I know, we're working on that. Cillian laughed and kissed her temple protectively. Pink and blue lights pulsed in the room, flashing to the sound of the fast-paced music. A mix of leprechauns and humans danced feverishly around the room, swinging and swaying together as if they hadn't seen each other in years, when in fact it had been earlier that day. Young girls inched closer to Ciara to get a better look at what she was wearing. She lifted the skirt of her white dress slightly to reveal the sparkling shoes better. A few approached her, and she graciously said her rehearsed lines, allowing Cillian to take over quickly. She reached up, brushing back her red hair to tuck behind her ears. She leaned toward Cillian's arm, nervousness pulsing through her body in bursts of hot energy. How about a break? Cillian asked once the girls had wandered off. Ciara nodded quickly. Together they passed through the topiaries covered in shamrocks that sectioned off the dance floor and lingered between banquet tables. Cillian guided her through the crowds quickly so that no one would try to stop them. The air in the hallway felt cooler against Ciara's skin. As the music muted behind them, she turned to her boyfriend. Thanks, I needed some space. I know, because I know you, my love. Cillian smiled at her. They continued to walk, moving away from any prying eyes that might appear in the hallways outside the party. How an extrovert like you ended up with a quiet introvert like me is beyond my understanding. You're full of surprises, Ciara, Cillian reminded her, arching an eyebrow in amusement. Just look at the surprise your father got. Ciara rolled her eyes. Cillian loved bringing that story up. It's not my fault he didn't realize he was adopting a human baby instead of a leprechaun, she muttered. Cillian's hand darted to her hair, moving it back over her shoulder. She gasped in surprise. Good thing, too. That red hair and those incredibly long legs of yours are what caught my eye the first time I saw you. Ciara pursed her lips as she tried to keep from giggling over his flirtatiousness. He had a way of calming her and making her feel like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. She didn't bother to answer, waiting for him to lean in and kiss her. Stepping back, she followed him as he guided her toward a recess in the wall big enough to tuck away people for a stolen moment. The back of Ciara's bare arm brushed against the velvet curtains. Her hair might pay the price later, but it couldn't possibly be too staticky with all of her natural curls, so she ignored it. Cillian's lips were familiar and warm as they crashed against hers. Reaching up, she drew him closer, pulling his shoulders toward her. His hand quickly found its way to her hip right where the bodice of her dress met the billowing skirt. Slowly, she moved her hand to his dark hair, the sound that caught in his throat nearly sounding like a growl. I think I read that wrong, but that's okay. His eyes flashed open to make contact with her. The green color only lasted for a second as he slammed his eyes shut, moving forward to kiss her again. Cillian ran a hand down the length of her arm, making her shiver. Kissing Cillian was Ciara's favorite thing to do, and was the only time in her life that she felt comfortable enough to make bold moves. Wrapping an arm around his back, she started to pull him forward, but stopped mid-motion, grazing a finger over the small of his back just enough to cause him to react, straightening. His shoulders moved back to accommodate the way his lower back shuddered under her touch. Ciara smiled, keeping her laughter silently resigned deep in her chest. Cillian grinned wildly. Bold, I like it. Slowly, he stepped back from her, putting space between them. Leaning forward, the shoemaker's son placed a hand on the wall on either side of her shoulders and leaned his upper body toward her. Ciara leaned back against the wall, tempting him to kiss her again. The dress bodice shifted as he settled in, moving her sweetheart neckline just slightly across her chest to one side, just enough for her to feel it. Cillian leaned in, stopping only when he was certain they were being interrupted. Ciara froze at the noise. Turning, Cillian placed himself in front of her, forcing Ciara to stand on her toes and peek over his shoulder. He pressed her back, the energy in the recess changing. Ciara reached up, putting a hand on the back of his shoulder so she could communicate with her boyfriend without words. They were familiar enough with each other that a simple touch was easily translated. A man walked by without noticing them. He glanced over his shoulders, looking down the hallway. Turning back, he swung his gaze around, checking from side to side. Cillian inched forward, looking around the edge of the shadowy recess at the man. He muttered under his breath to Ciara, "What's he doing?" Unable to see, Ciara couldn't reply. Cillian shifted for a moment, trying to get a better look. Suddenly, his entire demeanor changed as his muscles tightened and he drew in a sharp breath. "Stay here," he whispered harshly. Before she could react, Cillian darted out of the recess and took off after the man. Ciara stepped into the hallway anyway, but didn't follow her boyfriend. "Stop," Cillian demanded. The man turned, sizing Cillian up. "I'm looking for the Halloween room. Do you know where it is?" "Where the rest of the parties are," Cillian countered, not buying his act. Squinting, Ciara realized that it wasn't a human, but rather an elf addressing her boyfriend. The elf slowly moved his hand at his side, reaching for something. "Cillian!" she screamed, alerting him. Her boyfriend's hand lashed out, grabbing for the knife tucked inside of the suit the elf wore. Cillian wrestled with him for it as Ciara ran to his aid. Just as she reached them, the knife fell to the floor. Dropping down, she picked it up. Her worrisome nature may have prevented her from participating in things others might find engaging, but it didn't prevent her from knowing how to defend herself. Her father had seen to that. She felt at ease around weaponry. And my girl. She backed up far enough away that the elf couldn't reach her easily if he escaped Cillian's grasp, but close enough that if she needed to attack, she could. Neither of the men acknowledged her and continued grappling for the upper hand. "Release him," she said in her most powerful voice. Cillian may have been winning, but she wanted to reiterate that they were the ones who had the power. The elf's coarse response was cut off as Cillian slammed his fist into his stomach. The elf crumpled to the floor, unable to speak. He struggled to catch his breath. "You will not speak to her that way." Something rumbled under Ciara's feet. "Did you feel that?" Ciara asked. "Yeah, I did." Cillian moved his head as if he were going to look over his shoulder, but kept his gaze on the elf instead to ensure he couldn't escape. A ripple shuddered under them. "That can't be good." "You're too late," the elf hissed. The sound of the party suddenly collided behind Ciara. She had been so lost in her moment with Cillian that she hadn't noticed until the elf spoke. Her stomach dropped as if she had jumped from a great height, tensing her entire body. "Too late for what?" Cillian questioned him, gripping the collar of his shirt as he lifted him just far enough off the floor that he dangled uncomfortably, unable to get under his feet under him. Ooh. We've captured the court leaders. You're under our power now. If you play nice, I might let you live when this is all over, the elf announced. Ciara intentionally stopped breathing, holding herself very still so she could concentrate. If the Elven rebels were trying to take over the Winter Palace at the North Pole, and they had actually managed to abduct Santa, Father Time, and the others, very little stood between the partygoers and insurrection. Suddenly, more voices sounded in the hallway. Cillian slipped a hand over the elf's mouth, preventing him from calling out. Ciara rushed behind him, pulling the elf against her. She used one hand to cover his mouth, taking over for Cillian, and the other on the bridge of his nose, threatening to break it if he should bite her. She hissed her threat in his ear. Cillian grabbed the elf and pulled both of them forward to the recess. Ciara latched on even tighter once in the dark corner of the recess, leaving Cillian free to engage in a fight if need be. She swallowed hard when she recognized Father Time walking by. Her first instinct was to rush out of the recess to ask for his help, but it immediately felt wrong. Take this. This will take care of everyone. Father Time handed something to an elf walking next to him. His tone was hushed, as if he didn't want to be overheard. Cillian shook his head no, confirming he felt it too. And your daughter? She'll never see it coming. Vivian is far too wrapped up in her own life to ever notice anything else. We don't need her to move forward with this plan. The men passed by. Understood. Keep this quiet. We don't need to alert anyone until we've handled this. His voice faded as they moved further down the hall. After a moment, a door opened to the outside. We have to warn everyone, Cillian announced. Once he was sure they were gone. This is bad. You've no idea how the elf shuddered as Cillian raised his hand to threaten him. Ciara immediately pulled back her hand to avoid being bitten as the elf moved. And now you're going to tell us everything. Cillian ripped the elf away from his girlfriend's grasp and marched down the hallway so quickly she had to run to keep up. So that is the first chapter of Pressing Luck. We know, if you have been following along with this series, that this is immediately going to be taking us down to the center where all of the girls are waiting, and they will be interrupting with our new rebel captive. And we're going to learn what Father Time's plan is, what everybody is going to be doing, and we know that Ciara and Cillian are going to be moving forward to distract the rebels who are holding the holiday court leaders hostage. And so we get some really good kissing scenes coming up. Distraction. It's a thing. I'm so excited for this one. I hope you all are excited for this as well. Cillian is so swoony. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Cillian is fantastic. I love him. Let's see. Chapter headers are always so gorgeous. Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited that you guys are here and that you got notifications, even if they were a little bit late. I'm glad that y'all are here. This has been a very fun one to write. I very much like Cillian and Ciara's story. And as an Irish girl myself, I kind of love all the fun things that I got to work into this story. You can kind of see we've got the party here. So this is what the St. Patrick's Day party looks like inside of the story. You don't necessarily see a ton of all of the other holiday ones. We were trying to work all these fun things in, but we saw the shamrocks and the topiaries and all the cool stuff. You love Cillian too. I love Cillian. Cillian is fantastic. I was actually working last night on ranking the book boys that I have written in terms of like swoony men, and you know what? It's really freaking hard. I don't know where everybody fits, so we're working on this. And I might have some new character art to show you all from this series in the not too distant future. So make sure you stay tuned because I've got some cool things planned for you. If you've got questions on this series, I would love to get those answered for you. This is available right now. It is St. Patrick's Day. This book came out yesterday, so you can get it on all the major platforms, both in paperback and in ebook form. My version, my physical version of this arrives today. So if everything goes according to plan, we'll be doing a little bit of an unboxing for you as well. And as always, we will be dropping some cool stuff on Instagram for this, on TikTok for this, here on YouTube and on Facebook as well. We will be bringing you in on some really cool behind the scenes for this. And I've got some cool stuff happening in the world portal that we're about to release for this series over on my website as we're doing a website makeover. So we got some cool things going on. I'm really very excited for this. What is my favorite book? In this particular series, my favorite would be Reviving Time. That is the New Year's Eve story, followed by the Valentine's Day story, Targeting Bliss. And then we've got all the rest of them. So this is a 6-book series, which I may have sitting next to me. Let me see if I've got them right next to me. I do. Here we go. So we've got our St. Patrick's Day story. We've got Reviving Time, which is our New Year's Day story. Saving North, which is our Christmas story. We've got our upcoming, it is not out yet, Halloween story, Tricking Fate. We do have our upcoming next month, Easter story, Hiding Destiny. And then we've also got Targeting Blitz, our Valentine's Day one. And apparently I picked up an extra cover as well. So we've got all the fun stories there. Today we're celebrating St. Patrick's Day. I'm so excited. If y'all are wearing green, please let me know. But this is a really fun series to read. Again, you can be reading these as standalones and in any order. So if you're just jumping in, you can grab this one and it will not affect the storyline. They're all the same story, just told from different perspectives. They all go off and do their own missions. So you're going to get new things in each one and some overlap in each one as well. It's a short story, so you can buy it right now and read it very quickly today to celebrate. If you are going to get your hands on a copy, please put it on social media. I would love to see your Bookstagram photos or your book talk videos on this. Give it a shout out and help celebrate St. Patrick's Day today. I hope you all have a fantastic day and will be joining me next week as we read another of my book's first chapters, because I've got a brand new book coming out next week, The Conspiracy of Jack Frost. So we'll be reading the first chapter, which, whoo, y'all better get ready. I'm bringing the fire in the first 3 pages. You do not want to miss this one. It's going to be a really fun, really special book reading next week. So same time, 11 a.m. Eastern here on the YouTube page. And then this afternoon, we'll also be doing our live book cover creation. We're going with a green cover. I'm not sure what it is yet, but we're going green, celebrating St. Patrick's Day today. So I'll see you at 3 p.m. Eastern. And make sure you check out the socials because I'm dropping all sorts of cool things and some behind the scenes from this series and the new series coming out. So stay tuned. Thank you all for joining me. I'll see you during the next live book reading. Until